The knock on my door that night didn't sound normal. It wasn't the casual knock of a neighbor or the impatient banging of someone in a hurry. It was slow, heavy, desperate, the kind of knock that carries pain in every tap. I remember looking at the clock on my wall, 12:17 a.m., and feeling a strange chill run through my chest. Nobody visits at midnight unless something is terribly wrong. When I opened the door, the last person I expected to see was standing there under the pale porch light. My best friend, Marcus Whitfield. His shoulders were slumped, his eyes red, and his usually confident posture looked completely broken. For a moment, we just stared at each other in silence, the cool night wind moving through the quiet street. Then he spoke softly, almost like he was afraid the words might shatter. He asked if he could stay over tonight. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing by the people you love even in their darkest moments, take a second to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who believes in loyalty, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us how powerful compassion can be. Marcus and I had been friends for almost 15 years. We met back in college in Austin, Texas, when we were just two broke freshmen trying to figure life out. I was studying engineering, and he was chasing his dream of becoming a photographer. Back then, Marcus was the loudest guy in the room, the one who made everyone laugh, the one who always believed life would somehow work out. But the man standing on my porch that night looked like someone who had lost every ounce of that belief. I stepped aside and let him in without asking questions. Sometimes you don't need explanations right away. Sometimes what a person needs most is simply a door that opens. Inside my small house in San Antonio, the air felt warmer, but the silence between us was heavy. Marcus dropped his backpack near the couch and sat down slowly, like the weight of the world had settled on his shoulders. I noticed his hands were trembling slightly. That alone scared me more than anything else. Marcus had always been strong, emotionally and mentally. Seeing him like this felt unnatural, like watching a mountain crumble. For a while, neither of us spoke. I poured 2 cups of coffee even though it was midnight. It felt like the right thing to do. When I finally sat across from him, I could see the exhaustion carved into his face. Life had clearly been fighting him for a long time. Marcus had gotten married 4 years earlier to a woman named Olivia. Their relationship always seemed strong, at least from the outside. They had a small apartment in Denver, and his photography career was slowly growing. I remember visiting them once and seeing his framed photos on the walls. Sunsets, mountains, portraits of strangers that somehow looked like they carried entire life stories in their eyes. He had talent, real talent. But talent doesn't protect you from life's storms. That night, as the clock crept closer to 1 a.m., Marcus finally began to open up. His voice was low and rough, like someone who had been carrying too many unspoken words for too long. Over the past year, everything had started falling apart. His photography business struggled during a long financial downturn. Clients canceled projects, bills piled up, the stress slowly poisoned his marriage. Arguments became normal, silence became worse than shouting. Eventually, Olivia left. Not dramatically. Not with a screaming fight, just a quiet suitcase and a short goodbye that echoed louder than any argument ever could. Marcus tried to hold everything together after that. But loneliness has a strange way of amplifying every problem. Without work, without his wife, and without the confidence he once had, he slowly began to feel like he was drowning. The final blow came just days before he showed up at my door. His landlord in Denver had given him notice to leave. His savings were gone. His equipment had been sold piece by piece just to survive, and somewhere along the way, Marcus lost the one thing that used to define him: hope. Listening to him that night, I realized something painful. The strongest people often suffer in silence because everyone assumes they're okay. Marcus wasn't asking for money. He wasn't asking for solutions. All he wanted was a safe place to breathe for a while, so I told him he could stay as long as he needed. The next few weeks were strange but meaningful. Marcus slept on my couch at first, barely speaking during the mornings, but slowly something began to shift. Little by little, he started helping around the house. He cooked breakfast sometimes. Other days he would take long walks through the neighborhood with an old camera I had lying around. One evening I noticed him sitting on the porch staring at a photograph he had taken that day. It was a simple picture of a little boy riding a bicycle down the street, sunlight glowing behind him. But there was something powerful in the image, something hopeful. For the first time since he arrived, Marcus smiled. That moment changed everything. Photography had always been more than a job for him. It was the way he understood the world, the way he found beauty even in ordinary moments. Slowly, he began taking more photos around the city, parks, street corners, strangers laughing in coffee shops. A few months later, something unexpected happened. A local community center in San Antonio announced a small photography exhibition featuring local artists. I encouraged Marcus to submit a few of his pictures. At first, he refused. He said nobody would care about his work anymore. But after a lot of convincing, he finally agreed. The night of the exhibition felt almost surreal. The room wasn't huge, but it was full of people walking around quietly studying each photograph on the walls. Marcus stood near the back corner looking nervous, like he wanted to disappear. Then a middle-aged man approached one of his photos, the picture of the boy riding the bicycle. The man stared at it for a long time. Eventually, he turned to Marcus and told him something simple that I will never forget. He said that photo reminded him of his childhood. Sometimes the smallest connections between strangers carry the greatest power. That exhibition changed Marcus's life in ways neither of us expected. The man who admired his photo turned out to run a small art gallery in Dallas. A few weeks later, Marcus was invited to display more of his work there. It wasn't instant fame or fortune, but it was something far more important. It was a second chance. Over the next year, Marcus slowly rebuilt his life. His photography started gaining attention again. He found small projects, then bigger ones. Eventually, he moved into his own apartment again, not far from where I lived. But the biggest change wasn't in his career, it was in his spirit. The man who knocked on my door at midnight had arrived completely broken. The man standing beside me a year later at his gallery opening looked alive again. Right before the event started, Marcus pulled me aside and hugged me tightly. He didn't say much, but I understood what he meant. Sometimes friendship isn't about fixing someone's problems. Sometimes it's just about opening the door when they need it most. Now, before we reach the end of this story, I have a special request for you watching this video. Please write in the comments the word hope if you believe everyone deserves a second chance in life. Your comment might inspire someone who feels like giving up today. Life has a strange way of testing us when we least expect it. Some nights feel darker than others. Some struggles feel impossible to survive. But stories like Marcus's remind us that one act of kindness, one open door, can change everything. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might need encouragement today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. Because sometimes the most important moment in someone's life is simply the moment when a door opens at midnight.